Welcome to Friday Nights with Warikoo. It's a Friday night, the week has ended. This is a property where we discuss questions with most likely no answers or no definite answers. Questions that I often think about, questions that have engulfed me. And I don't come here as a proponent of knowing what the response could be. I have a view, but what I'd love to do is have a meaningful discussion, debate, and conversation around that. Today I want to talk about this very interesting thought experiment that I'd read about and then build on that. So the thought experiment was that imagine you've always lived in a white room. Everything in that room is pure white. And you have a table, you have a chair, you have a bed, you have food that's also white, and you have access to a computer. And through that computer, all that you have always read and seen is a red apple. You've read everything about a red apple. You know everything about a red apple. You've seen how it looks. You've seen how it perhaps flows, its contours, its shape. There's every bit of information and knowledge that you know about the red apple, but you've never really seen a red apple in real life. In fact, you've never even seen the color red except for the red apple. The thought experiment was that there's a certain image, there's a certain view of what a red apple is in your head. And would that view, that emotion, that sentiment be different if you were to step out of the white room and actually see a red apple? Would it be any different from what you already know, from the feelings that you have, from the emotions you've felt? No one knows the answer, and a lot of people say that no, it will not be, because the fact that you know something about something is equivalent to you feeling that. And there are enough people who say no, the feeling is a very different feeling than knowing everything about it. The interesting piece is that humans is the only race that can actually talk, visualize, and speak about things that we've never seen. That's what religion is, that's what myth is, that's what even gossip is, that's how legends were created. It's all about the construct in our head. And what I've always been very curious about is what is the purpose that it lends, and how do we actually bond over that? Like it's quite crazy if you stop and think about the fact that we as a race, as a community, as a group, bond over something that we've never personally, physically, or mentally experienced. And it's quite insane to think why that happens. To believe that something actually exists because we think we know everything about it, and we collectively have formed a knowledge system around us. But the reality is that we've never personally, physically experienced that. That fascinates me about humans, because it's not an unknown fact that the reason why the human civilization has become so powerful, as was also talked about in the book Sapiens, which is a fantastic book, by the way, is our ability to actually create and share stories. And I feel that the creation bit is more important than the sharing, because sharing can happen, and animals also do share, but they only share things that exist. They rarely, or for that matter, they've never shared anything that they just created out of thin air. But we have the ability to do that. So the first question I ask is, why does that work for us? Why is it that we as individuals, as a race, as a civilization, fall for things that we haven't seen, we haven't experienced, are just stories that have passed on from generations to generations? And the bigger question then is, we seem to know everything about that fictional thing, that myth, that legend. Would it be any different if we were to actually experience that? Religion is a good example. We all believe very strongly in God. A lot of us do. A lot of us are believers in a faith above us. And we seem to know a lot about that faith. We seem to know a lot about how that faith works, what that faith delivers on and what it doesn't. And I don't know how it would be any different if one day we were to encounter that faith in a physical, real dimension? And that's just one example. So I'll leave you with this question. Why do humans bond over fictional things that we haven't ever physically felt? And would it be any different if we actually met them physically? Would we experience a completely different red apple if we felt it with our hands, as against knowing everything about it? Until next Friday, I'll see you all.